Welcome to another Mature in Love segment with Dr. Rick Marks. It's great to see you, and thank you for tuning in for another short thought on what it can take to have a healthy, loving, mature relationship. Now, what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about the three B's in conflict. And we're not talking B-E-E, we're talking B-E. Be this, be that, got it? So what are the three B's in conflict? The things that we need to be in conflict so that we can work to make sure that in the end of conflict, there's a strong us, the relationship is connected, that we're not walking with resentments and bitterness or fears or insecurities, or a sense that you got your ways and without a power struggle, if you will. So let's kind of cover those rather briefly. And you think about how you are in relationships, particularly in conflict. All right, number one, in conflict, the number one, three B's. Number one, be brief. Be brief. You know, I like to tell people in conflict it's better to be businesslike. You know, speak your truth, but do it in a businesslike fashion. In order to do that, you're going to have to move to the higher order thinking brain and think about what you need to say and then say it very clearly, very concisely. You want to be thoughtful. To be brief, it requires you to think about what you want to say. You know, a lot of people in conflict, what they do is they just start talking, and they talk and ramble, and the listener gets lost in all the story. You see, when you get caught up in all the story, or if you're communicating from the lower order animal emotional brain, you're not being thoughtful, because if you know the work we talk about, then the higher order rational mind has been shut down and the lower order emotional brain is taken over. In conflict, you don't want to solve problems from the emotional brain. You want to solve it from the higher order thinking brain. And so when people are in conflict, you hear things like this. Well, you know, I don't know why you did that. And it seems to me you should have done it. And I can't tell you why it happened. And by the way, when I did this person did that. And they said this. And the listener's like, you know, you start to think gloss over. What's bothering you gets lost in all the emotion in the story. It's best to be brief, be factual, not emotional. So be brief. That requires you being thoughtful. Number two of the three B's in conflict, be bold. That's right. Gotta be brief, but you better be bold at the same time. It means you need to face your fears. You need to face your insecurities. It means that you need to face your angers. You need to face your disappointments. Face the fact you might feel helpless or hopeless. You got to face those emotions and still speak up for yourself. Did you get that? You got to face your emotions. You got to face your emotions, and yet you still need to speak up for yourself. So many people want to run from conflict. They want to run from conflict because they don't want to deal with it. And so they never speak their truth. You know, if you're going to solve a problem, you're going to have to face your own truths. You have to say who you are. You know, when I grew up, I was never really allowed to have a voice. It always got squelched, and I learned not to speak up for myself. And I brought that into the marriage, so I became an appeaser. I became a placating, like, finally, well, whatever. You know, it's like, oh. You start to see this kind of stuff, you know, and her brain says, oh, I'm not connected to this guy. But really, it's because I don't want to speak up for myself. And then when I did start speaking up for myself, it's because I felt pushed into a corner. And then you start to speak up. Now you're doing it out of anger. You know, to speak with boldness means you're in control of your own emotional brain. But at the same time, here's the real power about speaking boldly. To speak boldly means you respect yourself. It means you honor yourself. It means that you understand you have a right to your thoughts and feelings, and you also have a right to share them, and the other person really does need to listen to them. So be bold, all right? Be bold. Be kind when you're bold. Be respectful. Have goodwill. I always go back to my four protectors relationship: goodwill, respect, humility, and empathy. But just because you have goodwill, respect, humility, doesn't mean you won't speak up for yourself. As a matter of fact, people of goodwill, who are respectful, who live in humility and are caring, will speak up for themselves because they tend to be mature adults. And mature adults will speak their truth. They just do it with goodwill and respect. And the third of the three B's is be biblical. Be biblical. What I mean here is there's many principles in Scripture on relationships. As far as it concerns you, be at peace with all men. If at all possible, as far as it concerns you, be at peace with all men. I'm to live in such a way that brings peace to relationship, not conflict to relationships. Be slow to anger, quick to hear, and slow to speak, James 1. To do that means you got to move to humility, and you got to care less about talking and more about listening. That the passage there in James, the focus of that verse is on listening. It's not on talking. And so, if you want to be biblical, you're also going to have to incorporate the 15 traits of love, which I just narrowed down to 2 because the other 13 are variations of patience and kindness. Love is patient, love is kind. The other 13s are variations of that. So if you want to deal with conflict with patiently and deal with it kindly. Or in our world, you deal with goodwill, respect, humility, and empathy, because those 4 things will make sure you're patient and they will make sure you're kind. You see, deal with conflict in healthy biblical ways, because the Scripture gives us principles how to deal with life and life issues so that we can love our enemy and so that we can keep unity. Ultimately, it's about keeping unity in the biblical way, all right? As far as it concerns you, be at peace with all men. That doesn't mean that people will want to have peace with you, but what you bring to the relationship, what you bring to conflict, it is a healthy, mature posture that brings peace to the relationship, if at all. As far as it concerns you, that doesn't mean you will have peace, because the other person may not want peace with you. So think about those 3. Be brief, be bold, be biblical. It's Dr. Rick Marks with another Mature in Love segment. Have a great day, and whatever you do today, in conflict, remember the 3 B's, but most importantly, whatever you do today, whichever day you're listening to this, I encourage you to go out and inspire someone to be a better them. And do that by being a better you. Thanks for listening, and thanks for being a part of this short Mature in Love segment. It's Dr. Rick Marks, Relate Well. If we can help you, go to relatewell.us, relatewell.us. Look me up there and look up a Relate Well process. We actually teach you how to handle conflict so that you can be brief, so you can be bold, and then you can be biblical. Have a great day.